Hi, this is Brandon Smiley, co-owner of Thirst Gym in Terre Haute, Indiana. Today we're going to talk about something called the strength speed continuum and the force velocity curve, and how we use that to help improve athletic performance, strength and conditioning, and overall yielding better athletes. Okay, so the one thing about this part of training, and this involves every athlete. Okay, we're not going to try to just say focus on one particular kind of sport, but how this works depends on a very big continuum of time, and also where the athlete is and what the athlete needs. Okay, so at any point in time, an athlete can be on any of these four, in a blend of these four categories in terms of performance. Okay, no one kid should be in one specific sector all the time, and where you need to be in this continuum is going to depend on time of year, time of where you are in the season, what kind of athlete, the time of their development, and in terms of age and maturity and puberty and things like that, and what needs to be emphasized more and pulled back less. Okay, what that specific kid needs from a genetic standpoint. Some kids are naturally fast, some kids are naturally big, some kids are naturally strong. It just depends. Okay, so looking at these four things that we have here on the board, we've got absolute strength, strength speed, speed strength, and absolute speed. Okay, and then down here we've got our force velocity curve, which I'll get here to in a minute. One thing you should know about these is that absolute speed is talking mainly about that speed. Speed strength has more speed qualities than strength qualities. Strength speed has more strength qualities than speed qualities. And absolute strength has more strength qualities than speed qualities. Not a whole lot of speed here, okay? Here at Thirst, working with athletes, 90% of the kids, I'll say, give or take a little bit, are spending their time in absolute speed before they come here, okay? So this would be like your practices, your games, where you're doing, you're running up and down the court, you're doing speed training, you're on the track, or you're doing lactic sets for swimming. All of that is mainly in your speed area. Speed, 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 speed. Nothing wrong with that, except for that's all that's being done. We've got these other three continuums that are very rarely being tapped into, and mainly because tapping into these generally requires a good, knowledgeable strength and conditioning staff and sports performance training program, which is not readily available to all, or in your area it may not even exist, right? So part of our job at Thirst, being a sports performance facility working with youth athletes, most of our kids are coming in here, and they're in here in this 90% range, and they've got maybe, let's say, 5% here and maybe 5% here. That's probably lowballing it, and then they've got 0 over here. Okay? What we're going to try to do is this tells us, if we're looking at a teeter-totter in terms of the spectrum, okay, the teeter-totter is very, very heavy on this end, and there's nothing up here on this end. So to bring this back to balance, we need to put a lot of emphasis right here to pull that teeter-totter back down. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you have to immediately stop speed training, because you don't. And we're going to talk about how you do that here in a second. So from a strength and conditioning and sports performance segment here at Thirst, we spend about 80% of our time right here. Okay? And then we spend about 10% right here. And then we spend about 10% right here. Okay, so this is our strength training. This is our squats, our pressing patterns, our pulling patterns, RDLs, kettlebell deadlifts, trap bar deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, box squats, heavy prowler pushes, heavy sled pulls, heavy lunging variations, heavy rows. That's all down here. Right here in our speed strength, okay, this is going to be more of like our band resisted sprints. This is going to be our medicine ball throws, our medicine ball tosses. We pushing our prowler for speeds. We got the prowler either light or very lightly loaded, and we're gunning with it like crazy. Things of that nature. Absolute speed over here is going to be our jumps, our throws, our lighter throws, I might add, our jumps, our throws, our hurdles, and then what we also got to consider is the kids' practice. Okay? And I think this is a big thing that is really missed in a lot of strength conditioning sports performance programs, or they don't think about it, is the kid is also still practicing. So if we look at a pie chart and what the kid does when they first walk into the facility, okay, our kid walks into our facility, and here's our sliver of, we'll just say this. here's our sliver. This is all practice, speed, camps, and this is fun. Okay, that might even be generous for some of our kids that come in here that play video games. Okay, what we need to get them to, okay, is we need to have a pretty well-rounded training program. Okay, so we need to almost divide this into fifths. We need to keep our fun component. Okay, we need to keep our fun component. We still got our practice component. We've got this and here. So here's our fun. Here's our practice. Here's like PE. I'm not going to put that in there. I'm not going to put that in there. We're going to put this as our strength, okay? And then we've got to figure out how we're going to fill these gaps, okay? So we still know the practice, and this went from practice. We kind of decreased this, okay? Practice is still a big piece of the puzzle. We got our strength here. We can add our own bit of speed training. So this could be more of like mechanics, okay? Mechanics of sport. And this is what I would actually consider for us, our hypertrophy. If they chose to come to us, if they're not coming to us for this, then this would be about anything else. This would be like camps and whatnot. But notice that strength component is still pretty small. Okay, ideally I think this would all be strength training, and this would be your fun, your practice, and then anything else. Okay, so anyways, besides that, we have to take that into consideration when we're doing this. Part of making a good athlete is taking this blend of this continuum and implementing it into this force velocity curve, right? So this basically is saying on this axis we've got the force, on this axis we got the velocity, and then this is where our absolute strength, our strength speed, our speed strength, and our absolute speed fall in that continuum, okay? To be as fast as possible, we have to have no resistance. We go to jump against no resistance. That's where we've got speed. Because as soon as you put weight to that person, say a weighted vest, they slow down and they move to here. They're getting more towards that speed strength. And if you add more weight to them, or more weight to them, let's say, let's use a squat for example. You add a 50-pound dumbbell to them. Okay, they're here in the power area. You add a 75-pound number. Okay, we're more in strength speed. We're in the heavier parts of that power continuum. Absolute strength, just let's give them a 100-pound dumbbell. That's their 1 rep max. Okay, we don't want one rep max kids at our facility, but if we did, let's say that kid's hitting a 100-pound goblet squat for his 1 rep max. The velocity of him moving is slow, but the force that he is creating is very high. And the opposite down here. He's creating a ton of velocity whenever he goes to jump, but he's not having to produce as much force to reach that speed. Right? He's not having to overcome as much force to create that speed, just gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared pulling down. Okay? So if we know all that kind of stuff, how do we become a better athlete looking at this and this continuum? Okay? What I can tell you is that when we spend 80% of our time here at Thirst, we're trying to improve power. We're trying to improve hypertrophy and build muscle tissue. We're trying to improve the absolute strength component. Because this, okay, let's say this is his 100-pound goblet squat, okay? Let's see, we want to get into a 120-pound goblet squat. That means this 120 is still going to move, okay, His 120 is still going to move at 5 meters per second, hypothetically, okay? But what's that going to do to the rest of the curve when this goes up? Okay, well, that immediately makes this now our 100. Our 100 is now our strength speed. Our old strength speed, which is like 75, is now down here. And then our old vertical down here, okay, let's say you were doing a weighted vest jump, your old 30 was down here. Now your 30 is down here. You're moving 30 from 15 to 20. And then over here would be your body weight. So what happens is this curve, all these numbers, as you notice, the old 100 was here, it shifted up and to the right, 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 up and to the right. So what that creates is a new force velocity curve. Okay, so if we take that 100 pounds, that 100 pounds is now here. And as this trickles down, okay, we extend that chart out. If this trickles down, okay, this was where our speed was at 25. That same speed is now right here, and let's say that's 30, okay? He's now got 30 meters per second that he's applying coming off the ground at that kind of velocity by being able to create more force, Okay, so how does this make your kid better? How is this practical, right? That's what we got to basically ask ourselves is, this is all great in theory and science, but why is it going to make my kid better? The reason it's going to work is because your kid's over here in the absolute speed section. They're spending all their time here, 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 here. Fast, fast, fast. Sounds great. I'm totally behind it. You got to be a fast kid. The faster athlete wins in 9 times out of 10, right? They get off the ball faster. They swim faster. They sprint faster. They run their 5K faster. They're the better athlete. It's objectively, it's noticeable, right? However, what happens is, let's say we've got our 2 kids, okay, and they're both doing speed. And by speed, I'm basically talking about practice. Okay, you're basically just going to practice and working the speed component of sport, not looking at the skill. Kid 1, okay, just sticks with doing speed. And by the end of his senior year, he's managed to get up to here in terms of performance. Kid number 2, let's say at 8th grade, adds a strength component to his training program on top of the practice that the other kid's also getting. And his speed or performance gets up here. This is the better kid versus the kid that just got here. He was limited by this curve alone, okay? This curve is what's limiting your kid's performance when it comes to speed training. It's not that your kid's not giving effort. It's not that speed training doesn't work. The main component of speed is that you have to be able to create more force to go faster. So we've got our force equals mass times acceleration curve, okay? Everybody's focused on improving this acceleration, assuming the kid stays the same mass. There's your force curve. You got to create more force to get more acceleration through your mass of your kid, okay? So I'm not even going to try to talk this into like powerlifting perspectives and why people say this works for strength or for powerlifting. I'm not going to look at that, but I'm just saying for your kid to improve his acceleration, don't forget about this force side of the equation, okay? It's a very important thing because your mass that you're using to improve the acceleration is just body weight right here. So if we can train this and improve the mass that we're working with, we're going to improve our performance along this curve, okay? Now, the other thing I think that we need to think about as professionals and how we improve your performance as a kid or as a parent, how you improve your kid's performance, I think the number one thing you have to look at is trying to find a program that has interest in what your kid's trying to do and balances that need between practice and speed and strength. So this, like I said, is a very big part of the equation. You cannot deny how important strength is, but you also can't deny how important speed is. You're going to have to bounce around this continuum of trying to become a better athlete. But I think regardless of where your kid is, the strength training component is becoming more and more readily noticed of being important in terms of being a better athlete. Your kid that runs cross country is not going to train absolute strength quite nearly as much as they are their strength speed or their speed strength. However, being stronger is going to help those qualities improve and shift up and to the right of this force velocity curve, and therefore you're going to have a better athlete, which is ideally what you want. How is so-and-so's kid? He's such an athlete. Man, he blows everybody away and he lasts forever. Well, he probably has got more than just absolute speed. He's probably got a nice blend of the continuum, and he's able to switch between the continuums based upon where he's at in sport or what he's doing, things of that nature, okay? So the other thing that I can add to this is, other than just the strength portion, which I think is huge, it's what we do here at Thirst, and we add in our runs, our jumps and throws, is the mental side of the thing, as well as the injury prevention protocols that can come from strength and conditioning and sports performance programs when they're done correctly. A injured athlete is a useless athlete in most cases because they're sitting on the bench and not aiding towards the team's development on the field. So being able to prevent hamstring tears, rotator cuff issues, hip flexor problems, calf problems, anything like that, that encompasses part of a strength and conditioning program, because you get your kids that are overlaxed, they're hypermobile, especially on the shoulders or hips, that lends your chances of being injured high, which means you're spending too much time here. And the way you fix that, the way you improve strength around a joint, is more on the strength side of the continuum. Also, as we talked about the mental side of things, improving the confidence, the belief in themselves, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the ability to know that they've been putting in work and that they feel better and they can last longer in the field, again, helps over and all in terms of performance and building a better athlete. And that comes from being in a strength and conditioning program and facility that is monitored and thinking about how this continuum and force velocity curve works in terms of improving athletic performance. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Leave them in the comment section. DM me, email me, go to thirstgym.com and hit the contact tab. I'll answer any kind of questions you have. As I mentioned, we are mainly a sports performance-based facility, and this is what we do. And part of our mission here at Thirst is to provide education to the parents and coaches that are looking to improve the performance of the athletes in the Wabash Valley and the Terre Haute community. And part of this is a big overreaching picture of how we're trying to help educate our community. And we hope that if you don't happen to choose Thirst to help you do that, that's entirely okay. We're trying to educate you so that you can make the best educated decision for your child, or if you're an athlete watching this, for your career, so that you can be the best athlete that you can possibly be. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Have a great day.